Hello and welcome. Um, my name is Andy Mann. I'm Instructional Technology Consultant at Muskegon Area ISD, and you are watching the Learning on the Lakeshore Wednesday webinar series, which is really a Hangout series, but we're using Google Hangouts on air for this webinar. If you're tuning in, let me share a couple of resources that I want to make sure that you know about. The first one is up on your screen. You may see something over on the right-hand side that are some links, some showcase apps. There's something that looks like a little 9-square Rubik's Cube, and that 9-square Rubik's Cube, it allows you to turn on and off the viewing those over on the right side. If you have questions during our Hangout for Joan, there is a Q&A, and you can click on that and you can enter a question. And then near the end, Joan will try to find some time to answer your questions. That's also a place if you just want to sign in and say hello from wherever you're watching from and tell us your name and what district you're from or what organization. That would be great because we love to see who's online over there. I'll just open that up for a moment and see if we have anything yet. Not yet. I also want to highlight a website. This is the Learning on the Lakeshore site. Here it is, learningonthelakeshore.org. On the Wednesday webinar series this is a link right here to today's webinar. You can go back and you can watch it after it's been recorded. And here is a link to Joan's presentation today in Google Presentations or Google Slides. Also up here is a link to a folder full of resources, 6 different PDF documents that she has. And with that, let me stop presenting and introduce Joan Vincent. Joan is the media specialist for Reeths-Puffer High School in just on the northern edge of Muskegon. And I'll let you go ahead and take it away, Joan.
All right. All right, so there I am. Okay, this is kind of scary. Hi, everybody, live from my office at Reeths-Puffer High School, and I'm excited to be with you today to talk to you about some of the amazing resources that are available through MeL. In my little, if you had a chance to watch the little teaser, I told you this was going to be a whirlwind tour. And as I've kind of plotted out what we're going to be talking about today and tried to time it, it definitely is going to be a whirlwind tour. We won't be by any means looking at all of resources that are available. We're really just going to be focusing on 2 or 3, but hopefully there will be something that you can take away, something that you learn that is new and different. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen now. And let's see what happens. All right. Okay, so we're going to be talking about MeL resources, particularly for the secondary classroom. And just a little background, I have been a media specialist at Reeths-Puffer High School for 24 years. Most of that time just at the high school, but the last 5 years with all of the budget cuts, I'm now the sole media specialist. Split my physical time between the high school and middle school, and am a call away for all of the other levels. Here's what I hope to cover with you today. We're really going to be looking just at 3 resources: research and context, opposing viewpoints in context in Britannica schools. 2 of these 3 are new to MeL as of this fall. I hope to kind of show you an overview of the basic features, really look at the types of resources that are available in each database. And then one of the things that is new to the Gale databases, which Research and Context and Britannica schools are, is a really slick and easy Google Drive integration, as well as a connection to Google Classroom. I know that many of the schools, at least in our county, are Google for Education schools, and we have a lot of teachers using Google Classroom or interested in Google Classroom. And I think being able to use these MeL resources so easily in conjunction with them is a real selling point. And then at the end, I'll leave you with some links so that you can dig into these resources a lot more deeply. Andy mentioned in the showcase that there are some documents there. Everything that I'm going to look at today, there is some sort of supporting document in place. So don't be concerned if, oh, I missed that, where was that? Those supporting documents that are from Gale and from Britannica are going to show you everything I'm going to show you and so much more. So let's kind of move forward. MeL, I'm assuming most people are familiar with MeL, but just in case there are people viewing who are not, MeL is a project of the Library of Michigan. These are free, high-quality resources that are available to everyone in the state. And I think, you know, since I'm probably largely speaking to a school audience, if your school situation is anything like my school situation, I wouldn't have access to these kinds of resources for my staff and my students if it wasn't for MeL. And so I think that's a really important reason why we need to be using MeL, we need to be promoting MeL. Long gone are the days when I had a budget to purchase databases myself. I don't have that anymore. And I think that that's really important. I think another really important thing in terms of selling MeL is really those types of resources. Whether you're a classroom teacher or a media specialist, I think daily we fight that fight of Google is both the question and the answer. And, you know, as I tell students, and I'm sure that you tell students, there is an incredible amount of information and resources and experiences that we have because of the internet that certainly weren't available when I was doing any level of my schooling. But at the same time, we know, you know, that students aren't very good evaluators of information, that they take everything at face value. And with MeL, you don't have to be concerned about that. These are all vetted resources. So credibility, reliability, authenticity of the author or creator, those are just not things that you as an instructor have to be concerned about, or that the student. And I think it, you know, it can be a strong selling point, particularly for teachers. It's a little harder selling point for students. You know, I think we have all heard, well, if I could just go to Google, you know, if I could just go to Google, I would have this done. So anyway, types of resources. Encyclopedia entries, magazine articles, newspaper articles, primary sources. That has really become one of my selling points. Earlier in the year, I did a kind of a workshop with some of our intermediate school teachers, which would be like our 5th and 6th grade teachers. And it was largely a social studies, language arts. And so then I could show them, you know, primary source materials that were appropriate to their age group. They were, you know, their eyes were lighting up. Video and audio resources. A lot of the audio resources that are in these databases are coming from NPR. Video resources are coming from, you know, NBC News and, you know, other news outlets. We have full text reference books that none of us can afford to buy and update anymore. Biographies, images, maps. I think a lot of times people just don't realize what's in here. And when they really get to see all of the resources that are available, that's another really important selling point. I also think, too, the emphasis on nonfiction reading in all content areas now with the literacy standards. Anybody who's at the high school level, we're obviously talking about the SAT and really looking at how that essay is different than it's been in the past. And I think there are a lot of resources within MeL that, you know, you can use to help students analyze those rhetorical skills and practice, you know, evaluating essays and in how is this argument being built. So types of resources, I think, is a really strong selling point. All right, before I go to that one, okay, kind of give you a sense here of what I'm going to be doing. Most of this is going to be a demonstration looking at the actual databases. So I'm not sure if you can see my tabs that are open, but right now I'm going to click on one of the tabs I have open, and this is the MeL homepage, mel.org. And what you can see here is several different gateways. All right. We are actually going to go in through the Teens Gateway. But if you ever just kind of want to blow somebody away and show them all the different resources that are available in MeL, if you click on this database link, this is everything. And I'm not going to scroll slowly enough so that you can read, but interestingly enough, I had, actually it was a social worker in the middle school last week, a struggling student, really into cars and fixing and, all of those kinds of things. I showed her Chilton's and, showed this young man that this was here. He's reading, he's exploring. So all good stuff. So this is the whole entire list. And I really, would encourage you at some other time, if you really haven't dug in and taken a look at what's here, you're going to be amazed. We're going to go back here, though. Okay, so portals. Since we're talking about secondary resources, I'm going to click here where it says teens, mel.org. And when I do that, I'm on the kind of the MEL Teens homepage. And to look at the 3 databases we're going to explore today, I'm going to click where it says Homework Help. And these are the resources that have been curated for homework help aimed at teens. The 3 resources that we're specifically going to look at today are Research in Context, Opposing Viewpoints, and then up towards the top of the page, we have the Britannica resources. A couple quick things about Britannica. You'll notice here that there's a link that says Britannica School. This one says Britannica High. This one says Britannica Middle. This is kind of like, I'll just click on Britannica School a minute. From this link, I can go to all 3 levels of the Britannica resources. With the links here, I go strictly to what's been designated as the high school Britannica resource and what's been designated as the middle school Britannica resource. So that's why you're seeing the 3 different icons there. So I just kind of wanted to explain that. All right, the first database that we're going to go into is Research in Context, which is right here. And before we do that, just a couple quick things about Research in Context. Okay, Research in Context is one of the new databases, and this is the first time that we have had an e-resource in MEL that's aimed specifically at those middle grade students, so 6th through 8th grade students and teachers. I will tell you, though, that I have been using Research in Context with high school classes as well, and there have been times when whether it be the student's topic, whether it be the particular student, this has been the better resource for them than some of the other resources that maybe are more aimed at our high school audience. So the topics and the coverage of those topics is middle school appropriate. Great topic overview landing pages that we're going to look at. Biographies are separated out from the reference. All of the audio content is from NPR. There are primary resources in here, and this is a Gale resource, so that means that we are going to be able to look at those Google Drive and Google Classroom integration pieces. So I'm going to click over here where I have Research in Context open. And this is the landing page for Resource in Context. It is a Gale database, so one of the first things that I want to point out is that these top features here in all Gale databases are going to look the same. So that's a real positive. So when you're switching between databases, you're not having to reacclimate to, okay, where's the search? How do I do this? How does this feature work? They are the same. So you're always going to see a basic search box. You're always going to see a link to advanced search features, which is where you can do your Boolean searching. You can specify different date ranges. You can search by Lexile level if you're a school that does Lexiles, or you just want to do general reading levels. Advanced search is where you're going to be able to do all of those kinds of things. The bookmarking feature we'll talk about once we get into some articles. So a couple of ways that you can approach Research in Context. An initial way might be just to show the landing page to some of your middle school teachers. And, I know that middle school social studies, they're doing the cultures and geography. We're doing US history. So right off, you can see that it's really aimed at that group. All of the topics that are under Browse Topics, which is the link I'm going to click on right now, have organized pages. All right. These are not by any means all of the topics or subjects that you can do research about or that you can find information about in research and context, but everything listed here is going to have the same kind of results and display page, and I think that is really helpful for students. Research and context has a very clean, uncluttered structure, which helps to not distract those highly distractible middle school students. So we're going to take one of these and use them as our example today. And let's go to atmosphere. Okay, so everything that was on that list of topics before, you are going to see a landing page like this. Obviously, the numbers of articles about that topic are going to vary. Not everything is going to have videos or audios. Not everything might have primary sources, but it's going to be this kind of structure. One of the things that I think is really helpful about research and context is this introductory background article, and if you click on read more, we're going to see this is a pretty in-depth article. That especially if you're introducing a topic to a student, or they think this is something they might want to research and investigate further, but they really don't know that much about it. It's a great starting place to help students identify other keywords, other key topics that they might want to search for. Once you're looking at an article in any of the Gale databases, this is the structure that they have. So we've got the title of our article. We always have a link here to listen to the article. So for differentiation, for those students for whom maybe this article is going to be a little challenging to read, but if they can listen to it while they're reading along, they have a lot higher likelihood of grasping that content. You're always going to see the tools over here. So we have citation tools, and I'll click open that. A couple of things here. If you're using EasyBib or any of those tools, you can quickly click on this to export into that. Now I'm just going to close that for now and let you know that's here. What I really want to show you is this Save to Google Drive link. So if this is an article I want to use, here's my citation. If I click on Save to Google Drive, message, documents have now been sent to Google Drive and will appear shortly. So we're going to go there in a minute and take a look at that. So the citation, really super, super easy to cite. The other thing that you're always going to see here, any article that you're looking at, is this download tool. And again, we're going to click on that. I'm watching my time and I'm realizing I'm really going to have to keep it moving here. I'm going to click on the download tool. Again, would I like to save this article to Google Drive? And I'm going to click download. So you can start to think about ways in which both for students and for staff this could be useful. Maybe staff want to create a collection of reading materials for students, save them to Drive, organize them that way. Another thing that is in all of the Gale databases, highlights and notes. So maybe I am reading along and maybe this is something here that I think is going to be important and I want to highlight it. All right. Maybe I'm reading along and I go, oh, wow, that's something I really want to think about. I'm going to make a note. Need to investigate presidential candidates' views on global warming. So I'm just making that note to myself, and I'm going to click Save. Because I put some highlights in here and some notes, I'm actually going to re-download this article. All right. Other things, we can download to MP3 and students can listen that way. I know I do a lot with MP3s with some of our special needs students. So because I'm already logged into my Google account, see right here where it says signed in Joan. If I had not already been logged into my Google account, when I went to click on download, or when I was in citation tools and I went to click down save to Google Drive, I would have been prompted to log into my Google account. I should have mentioned that before. Okay, so right up here next to the sign in with Google is what many of you probably will recognize as the Share to Classroom link. I'm going to click on Share to Classroom. And what's going to happen is it's going to bring up Classroom, and it's going to ask me which class I want to share this with. And I'm going to pick my training class. And now I'm going to choose my action, create an assignment, ask a question, make an announcement. I'm going to say create an assignment, and then I'm going to say go. What's going to open then is my classroom window. So I'm just, for the sake of now, I'm going to write reading activity. And I could give my students my instructions, what I wanted them to focus on, if they were doing a summary, whatever it might be. And I could click Assign. Okay, it's been posted to my class. If I want to view this in my classroom, all I need to do is click right here on View Class. And lo and behold, in my training class is now my reading activity. I would have real instructions, and my students are going to click here, and they are now at that article that I want them to read, interact with, discuss in groups, whatever it might be. If I wanted to do further editing, maybe I want to change the assignment date and all those kinds of things, I can do that when I'm in classroom. So let's go back to our topics here a minute. And I didn't mean to go all the way out of that. The other thing I want to quick before we go out of research and content is just show you that one of the things I find I have to show students is you have to click on 34 to actually see 34 reference items. You have to click on the 4 biographies to see the biographies. If we click on the images, these images are for student use in projects, for teacher use in projects, and again, you can save them, and they all would have the same citation tools, which I must admit I was thinking about this afternoon as I listened to a student teacher tell the students he was working with that they didn't need to cite the images that they were pulling off of Google Images. So again, a way to make things easier for our students and our staff. All right, I'm going to keep right on moving here. Opposing viewpoints and context. This is very much, I feel, a high school resource. A couple of things I think I put back here. A really fabulous resource for argumentative research, writing, and reading. Anything that you're doing with argumentation, this is the resource. It's very up-to-date, great topic list. I think structurally it can be a little confusing to students if you don't kind of explain the results screen. The viewpoints are great for showing multiple perspectives on the same topic, dissecting arguments, and again, it's a Gale resource, so we're looking at those Google Drive and Google Classroom connections. So I am looking at opposing viewpoints. This is the landing page, so already you can see that it's a much more involved homepage than we saw in research and context. Again, though, notice that we have all those same things right here. So we've got sign in with Google. We have our classroom connection. We've got our advanced search. I'll make sure I show you a bookmark this time. There's always a featured video. There's always featured news. So if you're working with a social studies or even a science teacher who are looking to incorporate more nonfiction reading that's relevant, that's topical, these are constantly updated. These would be great pieces for people to use in their classroom in that way. You've got some broad topic overviews. If we're looking at health and medicine, we can click View All. And see all the topics that are listed under health and medicine. We also can, if you just want to know all the topics that are covered with an organized structure, the browse issues. I frequently use this when I have students who just have no possible idea what they might want to research, what they might want to investigate, what they want to work on an argument about. So it's just an endless list. Let's see, we need to go into one of these so that you can kind of see. Let's do amnesty, hot topic with the our political campaigns going on right now. So again, a lot more on this page than you see in research and context. I think this is a little bit of what sometimes I have to explain to students. Again, you're going to get a great overview article. We've used these overview articles. I think a lot of times students come to argumentative writing. They already have an opinion about gun control. They already have an opinion about abortion. They already have an opinion about illegal aliens. They have no idea of really how the diverse perspectives and all the different aspects that really there are of that topic. And we've used these overview articles to try and promote this. You'll see in opposing viewpoints all the wide variety of results that you have. So for instance, I'm just going to click on primary sources a minute because we didn't really look at primary sources in research and context. So here's our primary sources. So we have some testimony from somebody from the Center for Immigration on reforming our system. The other one, what was the other one? Government e-commerce. So we've got, real life people working, in our system with articles here. I usually have to explain to students what the viewpoint articles are. Any of you who are familiar with the opposing viewpoints books, these are really what the viewpoint articles are. So takes the topic and shows multiple perspectives on that topic, multiple ways that you could argue about that topic, and just a wide variety of things that a lot of times students just don't even think about because they've already got this preconceived notion of what they're doing. Okay, what I want to show, I do want to show you the bookmarks because if you're not using Google Classroom, this can be a really good way to share articles with students via your blog, via Moodle, Schoology, whatever you might be using. So let's say this Trust and E-Verify is maybe an article that I want to share with my social issues class, and I'm not using Google Classroom. I can, of course, we know, download the article to Google Drive. But I also can grab the bookmark of this article. And if I click on bookmark, you're going to see this very long URL. This is the URL directly to this article. You do not want to take the URL from the address bar up here. You want to take this URL. So if I take this and I copy this, all right, and I'm using Moodle, I'm using Schoology, I'm, putting together, maybe I have a Weebly that I use. I then can, trust and verify as the article I want to read and put in this link. And in that way, students will be linked to this article. So I don't want anybody to think if they're not using Google Classroom that there's not an easy way to create a reading list for students or share articles in an organized kind of fashion. I really am feeling badly because time is going by so quickly and I feel like we're hardly looking at anything. There's just so much here that's of value. I'm going to click. It looks like I have 1 minute. I do want to pop up Britannica, and I'm going to kind of give a sell job on Britannica. I will admit that I was really disappointed in the fall with a couple of the databases that we lost. There were ones that I used heavily. As somebody who's very secondary oriented, my preconceived notions of, okay, we're getting an encyclopedia instead, I wasn't necessarily happy about that, but they're really, the Britannica resources are so much more than an encyclopedia. The only thing that's actually coming from Britannica are the articles. There are a lot of great interactives, like for instance, you can compare countries. And you can choose what country. So I'm thinking about, middle school social studies. So let's just say I take these to default and I click go. I have a quick just comparison. Articles and Medium are going to take me to the full articles if I want to. And sometimes when we're, just trying to get students to start to think about the differences between two countries, okay, what's population? What does that do? What's life expectancy? Before we really start digging into, more about that country, a lot of times something like this can help students start thinking about, well, I wonder why their life expectancy is this, or I wonder why their urban to rural ratio is this. And, those are a lot of those big picture questions, that we want students to be asking, when they do start, researching and start the inquiry process. So I, want to point that out to you. Another cool thing that I want to show in terms of differentiation a minute would be under articles. And I'll just pick a history one. And I'll just click this. Aegean. Okay, I'm in the middle school. The middle school is considered level 2. They have an elementary Britannica school and a high school Britannica school. One of the really things that's great about differentiation is if I kind of look at this article, get a sense for a second, the information that's here, the kind of vocabulary, the amount of text. Let's say that I have I'm in a team talk class, or I have a mainstream student that I know that this is going to be overwhelming to. I can say to that student, or I can put that student into the level 1 article. Nothing changes. It still is the middle school interface, which does look much different than the elementary. But if I click on this level 1 article, look at the amount of text is greatly reduced. There's more white space. It's not going to be nearly as overwhelming for that student who maybe doesn't have an on-grade reading level. The other thing that is good about the Britannica is you click on any word and it comes up with a definition. It will read the definition to you, so there are a lot of reading supports in here. And just like I may have somebody reading below grade level in my class, I also could have somebody, reading well above grade level. And I want to challenge that student. So again, I don't have to take them out of the middle school interface. If I'm a middle school teacher, I can click on level 3. And now that student is going to get a little more in depth. And maybe I'm going to expect more from them for their presentation or their project. Or whatever reason it is that we're going into this resource and investigating with it. Some other things about Britannica schools.
Joan, we need to start wrapping up here.
Okay, I know we do.
I know you could talk for another half hour.
Let's see.
I'm going to
Are there any
allow
questions?
you to, there were a few questions.
Okay, well, let's do that then.
So I'll come over here to the Q&A. One thing I do want to introduce is Christine Scheidner, if I said her name right, does work for the Michigan Electronic Library, and she has shared that she would be available to do any MEL training out in the school districts. I will put her contact information in our Learning on the Lakeshore MEL resources site. So okay. Christine, I will put that over in our learningonthelakeshore.org site. She also wanted to mention that there are now apps that you can get from the Chrome Web Store, and I did put a link to those apps in the showcase button. There are clicking on that, you will see that there is a link not only to your PDFs, but Britannica School and Opposing Viewpoints and Context. I didn't have a chance to check the third one, but I thought that was nice that she shared that. Let me see. Steve Dennison asked a question: is it available as an iPad or an Android app? And Steve, I know you can go to it from the browser. I have not checked regarding apps.
Gale has apps.
Okay.
I don't know about Britannica. But
Okay.
Gale does have apps.
Okay. Very good. And let me see if there's any other questions over here. Steve said he really likes the bookmark feature. And let's see if there's anything else. And we have a visitor from Syracuse University.
Oh my gosh.
There. So welcome. Glad you're and someone moving in here.
Well, I'll plug that there are two McCall pre-con sessions, one aimed at elementary teachers, another aimed at secondary, that the media specialist group is putting on that are focused on MEL. And it's going to kind of be a panel situation. A couple of the reps will be there for Britannica and Gale in Library, Michigan. And then there are a couple of us representing different levels of libraries to talk about how we're using the resources as well. So if you have a chance to get away to those pre-cons, those are opportunities out there too for some more in-depth look at the resources and explore time for yourself. And that's really what a lot of it's about. Every time I go in, I find something new.
And those can be reached at mccall.org/SIGs. And down here is a list, and Joan will be presenting some of the MEL resources right down here, engaging inquiry, and that's from 1 to 4:30 on Wednesday, March 9th. So I want to thank you for tuning in with us today. Once again, learningonthelakeshore.org will have a recording of this, and love to have your email with feedback and suggestions for ways we can improve this. And I do like to mention that that website, we have another Learning on the Lakeshore webinar coming up next Wednesday, where Bob Wood from Oak Ridge is going to share about Zaption, a program that works with YouTube videos. And then Steve Dennison, who's online with us, is going to talk the next week about grabbing people's attention and ways to do that more effectively in presentations. So Joan, I want to thank you once again for
Thank you.
Yeah, tuning in today, and thanks everybody else for being a part of this. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Good night.